Trim for the win is Oregon for the win. No new taxes, reducing inflation, combats homelessness.
Well, he may have already won the prize for the catchiest campaign video, but is that enough to help propel Tim McCloud to Mahonia Hall? The Salem resident and business analyst who studied at Eastern Oregon University, here to talk about Oregon's future and his campaign for governor. Tim McCloud, welcome to Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Well, first of all, tell me your motivation for running and running as a Republican.
Well, I'm running because Oregon's in trouble. Growing up playing sports, I know what it's like to win, and right now we're seeing the state lose big. And, I'm a Republican because I think it's important the way that a government manages its budget. We're seeing that our budget is spilled out of control, and we're going to need a governor with a plan to go in and trim back the waste.
You work as a global market analyst for a U.S. aerospace and defense materials firm. How does that prepare you for life in politics?
Well, one of the great things about my current role is I'm working in business development. So how do we reach new customers? As part of that, I'm involved in market surveillance and customer transparency. So really beginning research and understanding who our customers are, understanding what our markets are like, and the changes and trends that are occurring in our markets. I think those are all skills that apply well to the governor's role, because I believe the next governor needs to also be at the front of the helm and recruiting new businesses and helping to grow opportunities within the industries in Oregon.
According to your campaign website, one of your top priorities will be holding the line on taxes. Why is that a priority for you?
Because it's already very expensive to live in the state of Oregon. As part of being governor, I think that we need to look at marginal tapering on several different taxes in Oregon. So income tax, property tax, and corporate tax. We need to be looking at a tapering of all of those so that Oregonians can see that money returning to their pockets.
You've said that you have personal experiences with homelessness, racial discrimination, witnessing violent crime. I'd like to know more about that. Tell me about that and how that influenced your decision to run for governor.
Well, it's been more than 10 years since I was homeless, and now, thankfully, I do have a home of my own to live in. But I remember that experience because what was unique about it is at that time I was already a business owner. So I was a small business owner in state licensed childcare. I was going to school online for public administration, and I had 3 little girls that I was raising. So the last thing I really expected was to end up homeless. But that's exactly what happened. There just wasn't enough housing. And so it pushed us out to a campground in Sun River. So, that was a pretty significant time in my life. And I want to help other families that have, that experience a similar type of economic crisis. As far as the crime, it actually occurred in my neighborhood. A young boy, only about 17 years old, he was shot and killed in a school parking lot. And so being the person who found him like that, seeing just this young life really lost to gun violence and perhaps even gang violence was really sad, because we want better opportunities for our children here in the state of Oregon, Ken, and I don't think that our current leadership is doing enough to cultivate those opportunities for our young people. And in terms of racial discrimination, one of the things that I find interesting is that when the conversation of racism in Oregon comes up, or people don't really seem surprised. It seems like everyone knows that it exists. And so running as a Republican, as the first African-American Republican, I think is a unique opportunity for our state, because, people seem to understand that discrimination exists, but to the point that, are we ready to really do something about it? And I hope that voters are ready to do something about that this year.
Now, you said that you have been homeless. So how would you address the homeless issue in the state of Oregon?
So one of the things I tell people is that we really need to be able to distinguish people who choose homelessness as a lifestyle versus those that are experiencing economic crisis. For individuals that choose homelessness as a lifestyle, we're not necessarily going to be able to change their lifestyle. But what we can stop doing is providing subsidies for that lifestyle. And so for individuals who are looking for transitional support out of homelessness, I truly believe that the state can do more to help individuals off of the street and provide, training and education, or maybe some sort of informal or formal budgetary education that allows individuals to start putting the pieces back to their life with new skills. And I think that's important too. When I was homeless, I went from small business owner to having to close down my business because we weren't going to find housing in enough time. And so what that meant for me was starting all over again. And so I went from a small business owner to an intern for a county government, where I started working in facilities maintenance, landscaping, and the like. So there's opportunities to start over, and if that's what it takes for Oregonians, we want to make sure that they have the resources and the support net to get back on their feet.
Yeah, very briefly here, because we don't have much more time. What's your stance on the issue of policing and community safety?
I'm going to stand for our officers. The crisis or the trauma that happened across the street from me, I realized at that time that it's the kind of thing that our officers are running into on a daily basis. So I want to respect our officers and thank our officers for being the ones that go into these situations that are dangerous, and that most people really just don't have the heart or the stomach to handle. So I thank our officers for being there for us, and we want to make sure that they have all the tools they need to address crime in our cities.
Tim McCloud, thank you for being on Eye on Northwest Politics.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Next on Give Me a Minute, we hear from Professor Elliot Young. He's a history professor at Lewis and Clark College, an author, and is taking a minute to talk about the state of policing in Portland. His take next on Give Me a Minute.